the tiny things that you do and you explore, they lead you to either the things that you realize I don't want to do, or give you the skills and experience when you need them for the things that you have to do. And I think that's really what this is.
I wasn't just going to be concerned about the journalistic elements of my job, which I thought I was good at already, but I wanted to be the editor who understood the business of media. I didn't just want to sit down, in the newsroom and be churning out content. I wanted to understand the business.
Get traction.
Yeah.
Like speak to one person, get one customer. Because once you do, you then realize, it will work or it won't work before you can start raising money or doing anything else that you want to do. If I never did my first event in Lagos in 2023, I don't know how else I would have ended up here. When we did our first event 2 years ago, Founders Connect, I was telling my friend Joyce, I was like, I did not know that when I was doing Women Real events for Google and GBG Lekki for free, like you said, just as many people that can come, we'll just put off a one-day event. I didn't know that I was rehearsing for being able to produce something like this today. But the minute we had the idea, I was like, we did it that time now. We can figure it out. Yeah. And it's the same thing. When I started YouTube, it was just making videos of myself. Then I said, let me bring my friends that are marketers. So I brought you, I brought Blessing, I brought Fuad, and we'll talk about something in marketing, branding. What I didn't realize was that conversation was how I was going to end up start interviewing African founders, and that's how Founders Connect to come. And so it's really just the tiny things that you do and you explore, they lead you to either the things that you realize I don't want to do, or give you the skills and experience when you need them for the things that you have to do. And I think that's really what this is. So it just makes it feel like it's a compounding experience of the things that I did before.
Yeah, I can definitely relate with that. So I was last week. I went back to my alma mater, and I was talking to some of the 200 level students, and then I told them that when I was in 300 level and 300 level into 400 level, I used to do this thing where I would ask final year students to bring their projects, and then I would use SPSS. How many people know SPSS? All right. I would use SPSS to start crunching data and then do the data analysis for people's final year projects. And people will pay me 30K each per project. That's how come I was able to fund at least some of my, because that's how I was able to, get myself through the final 2 years of school. I stopped calling my parents for money. I mean, once in a while they send money, but I wanted to be self-sufficient. I did not know that I was practicing for what communique.
For being a founder now.
Do you understand? And this is 11 years or 12 years later. I didn't know that's what I was practicing
And
for.
I think about your journey a lot. I'm like, David is building Communique. It feels like we are just building Communique. But I know that you've been doing a lot of rehearsal.
Yes.
Like being editor-in-chief of Business Insider. That's basically what you're doing now.
Yes.
Running comms, doing a lot of crisis management, basically being like a business manager. And then it feels like that has compounded to, okay, I have enough experience,
Exactly.
right? Like, tell me about it from your perspective.
So, you're right. When I was the editor for Business Insider Africa, one of the things that I wanted to use to set myself apart as an editor was I wasn't just going to be concerned about the journalistic elements of my job, which I thought I was good at already, but I wanted to be the editor who understood the business of media. Because what you see a lot with journalists, if you're very familiar with the journalistic ecosystem, is journalists don't necessarily understand the business that they are in. They know how to do their jobs as journalists, but they're not very good as business people. But I, as an editor, I wanted to make it a point of my duty that I understand journalism, but I also understand the business of media. So what I did then was, we launched, at Business Insider, we launched a show called The Money Show.
I remember. Do you remember
that show? And we did 3 pilot episodes, right? And so that time there was a sales team. So I didn't really have to worry too much about selling, but we wanted to create a proof of concept, right? So we did 3 pilot episodes, and then the sales team said they were going to look for sponsors. I said, look for sponsors, but I'm going to follow you to those sales meetings, because I wanted to get a sense of what it is like to sell content or to sell media. I didn't just want to sit down, in the newsroom and be churning out content. I wanted to understand the business. And so we went to a bunch of different meetings, and then ultimately we sold the first season of the show for 6 million naira. At that time, 6 million naira was a lot of money. I know to you people it's not a lot.
It kind of still is.
Yeah. So we sold it for, for 6 million, and then, all of us got commissions. I was like, so this is how they used to do salespeople. This is why, by the way, your salespeople will exclude you. I'm giving you hack now. That's why they will exclude you from the process, because they would eat the commission alone. And so that for me gave me an idea of what it is like to sell. Again, I didn't know that I was practicing, because now, I was telling you earlier, right? My work at Communique, and my analyst is here. I don't want to spend more than 2 hours on the newsletter. Because my real work now
the money.
Is to go and look for money. I am making calls. I'm calling this person. Okay, like, is there any work you can do for me? Like yesterday, I told somebody. Somebody said that they have a contract that they are working on. I said, even if you want me to lay the pipe, you understand? To people now, it's like, this is what my job now is to look for money. I get
it. I've been going around our booths, talking to all my sponsors. Say, thank you. Are you okay? Because the money is
customer
important.
Service.
Yeah, 100%. I think something that I find very fascinating is, I think for both of us, we started Communique and Founders Connect while we were talents.
Yes.
So it started as, for me at least, it started as a hobby.
Yes.
I would do it on weekends, shoot videos, post it, and I would continue my 9 to 5. You were writing until you realized, there isn't anything like this. But then you transition, and you did that before me, to say, I don't want to just do this as a side hustle or a passion. I want to make this a business and become like a proper founder.
Yes.
What was that transition like? Tell me particularly the hard parts about that transition.
The bad part is still ongoing. It's still ongoing. I'll be very honest, because, again, I was talking to my guy here, Tunde. 2025 has been a terrible year for business. Anybody here running a business? Am I correct? 2025 has been a terrible year for business. There are people that I would go to and say, give us, like, let's do business together. Last year, they will have money to give me, or maybe 2 years ago. But this year, they will tell me, bros, no vex, so pocket is dry right now. Maybe we've committed money to this project, or we committed money to a project last year, and the project has not really taken off yet. And just as I was having a conversation with someone there, the combination of Trump and AI, Adewale Yusuf was saying it, and he's right. The combination of Trump and AI in the same year, bad for business. So it has been very, very difficult, to get people to things that would have been easy in the past. When, for instance, you go to a sponsor and you tell them our bill is 10 million naira, and they will give it to you without shaking. Now they will ask you, we want to see sign up, we want to see conversion, we want to see this one, we want to see that, Igba and Awo and all of that. I'm like, bros, all these things that you're asking me for, I don't have them right now. Do you want to give me the money or not? If you don't want to give me the money, leave me and let me go. So that's kind of what the experience is right now. But I know it's not going to be forever. So the goal for us right now is stay alive. However, we can stay alive. So I know that we have our regular, this is what you do. When you want to start a company, you have an idea of how you are going to make money.
Vision.
You understand? We are going to do this how we're going to make money. We are going to have X amount of users. But then you start the business.
You start hustling.
And you start hustling.
Can I consult for you?
Do you understand? Like, we took a job from a company, to do website stuff. Normally, we wouldn't, but you have to do it. It's just like the Airbnb founders. That's the analogy I always use. You guys know that they sold cereal in the beginning, right? They sold cereal to fund their business. So the goal is to stay alive. However you can, whatever legal means, legal, please. Whatever legal means that you can use to stay alive, you use it. But the goal is to stay alive until things start to pick up again.
Thank you. I think that's a very honest answer, and it's very important, because sometimes when people quit their jobs, you quit thinking that it would be easy, or you hope that it would be easy. Yeah. Then Shege will catch you and you realize, oh my God, I'm not ready. Mm-hmm. But sometimes people tend to posture and have a facade of we're still hustling. But I think it's important for sessions like this for people to know that building a business is actually really hard. Whether you're a media entrepreneur or a creative entrepreneur or you're a tech founder, there are times when it gets incredibly hard. Yeah. And when it gets to that point, you have to focus on we stay alive or we die.
Yes.
It's not every time growth. Sometimes we literally need to pay bills tomorrow. Yes. I need to make sure that we can get up and write that newsletter or make that video. And then you have to make sure you find opportunities anywhere to make that happen until things stabilize. Then you can now figure, okay, back to the original vision, more stability, more growth. So I really like that you were very honest about stay alive when it gets really tough as much as you can legally. Just
that part is important.
Yeah.
So I want to. This is a conversation that we had a few weeks ago when I sent you the Stephen Bartlett video. I see a lot of parallels between what Stephen Bartlett does with. No, I actually see it, right. I can see Founders Connect and how it mirrors Diary of a CEO and how flight story can actually be a thing. So, but my question to you is, in terms of vision, because vision is very important, how are you seeing the path forward for what you are doing? I know you're not done with your MBA, right? You still have that one.
First of all, we need to stay alive. That's a really good question. I think, so the one thing that I'm very certain about, what I've tried to really do, is to be very certain of our core.
Right.
There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of suggestions and advice, and I think it could be. And I appreciate that, but I'm also someone who values so knowing myself and making sure that what I'm doing for the right reasons, not just like going through.
Right.
So it did take me some time to think through, are we just going to be an event or storytelling company? And I was okay with being just that until it crystallized, right? Because I think if you allow yourself get blown by the wind, you get some good advice, some bad advice. What will just happen is you lack focus. And lacking focus is the wrongest way to build anything because you are never going to move forward. You just go like this zigzag and you still be in the same spot. But now, I think for me, the core is how do we impact African entrepreneurs?
Okay.
And there are multiple ways that we want to do that. Stories.
Yeah.
I think storytelling is always going to be a part of what Founders Connect does because we would not be here if there was no content.
Okay.
And I have seen that content of just putting a YouTube video, making an Instagram reel, take us from 5K subscribers, 40K subscribers, from Lagos to London to Nairobi. I've done events in cities that I've never been to because of content and storytelling. And just remembering that there's a huge power in being able to put our content out there. You might not be able, might not be there, but somebody else, because the internet is limitless, will find it. So storytelling is important because I realize it builds the audience that everything else comes from. These people here are a result of the audience, right? But also storytelling because I still very much believe that we are not telling our own stories enough. Beyond whether you're raising money or whatever, I think there's still a place for just authentic stories of founders who are building, regardless of what stage you are in. And I want to be able to retain that essence. And the second is events. I don't know if you will always be big, large-scale conferences like this, but I relish the power of just being in a community and meeting people. There's a lot of energy. When somebody comes to me, they're pitching something, they're sharing something, they're meeting somebody else. I think that's a huge part of what African founders need to keep finding real places where they can just be and connect. And I'm hopeful that our events do that for people and we can keep doing that. And I think the third thing is community. Outside of the once in a year events that we do in cities, we're building the Black Builders Network that says every other day, every other week, we're on WhatsApp or on Slack. We can talk, we can share our pains. Somebody came the other day, I was talking about bootstrapping is hard. How do I stay alive? And it's real talk. So you feel like these are people who are actually building for you. And maybe eventually, maybe we'll be a venture studio, maybe raise a fund. There are many ways it could go.
I can see that.
But for now, I want to stick to stories, event, community, because it's very people-led and it can get anywhere from there. But slow and steady.
Yeah, I appreciate the clarity. For me, it's the same thing with Communique, right? Anybody who follows me on LinkedIn or who subscribes to the newsletter, you know that I write about our vision a lot. I am doing it primarily for myself because I need touchstones. I need touch points to say, for instance, when I wrote the Communique Manifesto in 2021, I said that I saw an opportunity to expand from just covering media to looking at technology and culture and how everything interfaces. That time, nobody was talking about creator economy, creative economy. It wasn't really a thing then. So I didn't even know that I was setting the foundation for what Communique is going to be today. But I try as much as possible to write about my vision, how I'm thinking about this thing. And I also do it for my employees. Because, the people that are here today may not be the people there tomorrow. I need something that I can point people back to. For instance, when we are doing interviews for roles, I usually share links to things that we've written about the company to people interviewing for jobs. Also, that's how you know if somebody is serious. Abi?
Yeah.
If you are going to work here, you should be able to take a few minutes to read about us. So I send those links to people, to sort of give them an idea of where we are going. So it's the same thing for me, right? That clarity is very important. We know, for instance, that we want to we are building a knowledge ecosystem. It's not just a fancy word. The question is, there is this industry that is catching fire all over the world, but the industry has also been around for more than 100 years. It is the creative economy now, but it has always been called the cultural and creative industry. And that industry has been around since at least the 1800s. Do you understand? So what does the past look like? What does the present look like? What will the future look like? How do people want to gain knowledge about this industry? How do people share knowledge? How do they access knowledge and all these things? So sometimes it's through writing, sometimes it's through videos, sometimes it's through events, sometimes it's through a data dashboard. So whatever tool or products that we can create to help people understand this industry better in a way that makes them also richer, because my goal is to make people richer with what I'm doing. And I feel like if I'm able to make people richer, then it won't be too difficult for me to ask them for money.
Njoku spoke earlier, and there was something that I was telling him that I saw a recent tweet where he said that he's very bullish on what he's doing, but his literal words was, I don't care how many times I pivot, I will shall pivot until I figure it out.
Yes.
And I was like, that's a very powerful thing to say. I understand broadly what I'm doing, but I know that clarity comes in doing. So I might find that this specific direction is not working and I will pivot and pivot. Yeah. I referenced that because we had something that you published recently where you were like, last year when I was leaving my job, I wrote, this is what the 4 things we'll be doing.
Yes.
Now something has changed a little bit and I want to write it again.
Yes.
And just like, because I'm doing now, I can see how things fit in the picture or how things can remove.
Yes.
And being confident and knowing just because something is changing or I'm pivoting slightly doesn't mean I'm failing.
Exactly.
It just means that I'm moving with more information than I had before.
Exactly. You're right, because for instance, last year, a big part of what we wanted to do was the academy. But now we realized the academy can exist, but it can exist as a consulting product. But what is more important than that is a data plus tech stack. Do you understand? So now the question is, how do we figure out that in a way that is useful to our market? We had our board meeting yesterday, and I was telling the board members that this is what we are building, shared information with them. And one of our board members asked me the question, can you design this in a way that is useful to you first? So that when you prove that it is useful to you, you've proven the results that using this thing has given you, it is easier for you to sell that product to enterprises. I was like, oh snap, why didn't I think of it? You know that Drake and Leo Yachty memes? I was like, wow, why didn't I think of it? But that is the thing, right? Until you start doing it,
you won't really know.
You can have blueprints, set picture, but until you start doing it, you can't really see the way forward. But once you get into the maze, then maybe you get to a dead end, all right, I need to turn back. And so that's what the experience has been like for me, basically.
That's fantastic. And it actually buttresses what they said in the fundraising panel when Oyin was like, get traction.
Yeah.
Like, speak to one person, get one customer. Because once you do, you then realize, oh, it will work or it won't work before you can start raising money or doing anything else that you want to do. Yeah. So, makes sense.
Do we take questions? We have 5
can.
minutes?
We do have some time. Is there anybody in the audience that has questions for myself or David?
Oh, great. No one.
There's one right there. Where's There's one here.
Questions.
Okay. Hi, Toba. We have one at the front here.
We have one person with one question or one person with 20 questions.
One here and then one at the back.
One question
Show of
per
hand,
person.
please.
30
one
seconds,
person.
please.
Who is the person? It's her. You have succeeded at last. All right.
All right, my name is Tuluwani, and really, I don't have a question. I just want to appreciate you because I feel that for me, this is like the only opportunity, like for now, that I can have to actually see you like this and talk to you. And I'm not sure if I reach out to you on social media that probably you will respond. So I've been following your journey from the time when you used to do videos randomly, motivational videos, then. And I would subscribe, I would do data to go and watch your videos in the night. And I really did not know that I was going to be in this part. I was in school, secondary school, uni, 100 level days. And you've inspired me. I've seen your journey and I've seen that you've grown. Like, you're always growing. And it's really, really inspiring me. So I just want to tell you that I see what you're doing and you're inspiring me so much. And hopefully, I hope to be there one day.
Yes, thank you so much. That was very sweet. Thank you so much.
Thank you for echoing my thoughts.
So, is there anybody? Okay, you saw my own video. So, no. Oh, wow. It's okay. Who is the next person, please? I'm not jealous or whatever.
She's in pink, the lady in pink.
Yeah? Lady in pink. It's not, you don't want to ask? Ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Praise. So my question is about peace. Hi, peace. I'm a big fan. Okay, my question is about clarity in doing. When you said something about clarity, and something even Jason said at the beginning. I'm currently at a phase where I'm pivoting, and I'm not a founder, I'm a talent, but I'm currently at a phase where I'm pivoting and I'm having so many questions. And you talked about having to have how you've built a journey of just exploring. And my question is, when you look back at those times, were there times where you sorry, these guys are fucking me. When you look back at those times, were there times when you questioned yourself, and how did you pull out of it? Because I'm currently at a stage where I don't want to continue, but I'm also trying to remember that I have to continue. So what kept you going as a storyteller, especially in the creative economy where it didn't exist as a creative economy? So like, what kept you going? I'm not a storyteller, but I'm just really curious on what keeps you going.
Thank you very much for that question. I just said that's a very layered question. So one is like for me to explain a bit about what clarity in doing means, where clarity comes from doing means, and then what has kept me going when things were not particularly nice or when I felt confused. Did I get it right? Clarity comes from doing. It's something that I really believe in. It's very simple. Until you start moving, you don't know what you're going to face in the journey. I can say I want to organize my first event. Until I actually start organizing it, I don't really know what it takes, what it will take of me, what it will give me, or even how far it will go. A good example is the Builder Summit. If I never did my first event in Lagos in 2023, I don't know how else I would have ended up here, just literally. So that's what clarity comes in doing. It's like you take one step, and then eventually you begin to see other opportunities, or that this is not a path that works. I think same thing for your journey, right? Like when David was talking, the fact that David is doing Communique now, it makes sense because he has done many things, and at one point he started writing the newsletter. So turning into a business is just because there's now opportunities, but he probably would have never done this if he didn't write the first edition. So people get scared, they want to have the full picture before they move, and that can be very paralyzing. If you have just a little bit of conviction and a little bit of idea of, I want to experiment, you take the first step. If it doesn't work, take the lesson and the experience, move on to something else. Every experience is not a waste. That's one of the big lessons I've learned in life. I'm like, I've done many things, but what I'm most grateful for is that I've done those things because I learned something here, I learned something here, and I learned something here. They might not have given me money, I might not be able to academia outside, but I now have so much knowledge across different parts that it's making it easy for me to do what I need to do in the next level. So I might fail, but yes. So that's what clarity comes in doing. And has there been times where I felt like I couldn't continue or like I wasn't the right part? I think if you ever get stuck, take a moment to be still. We feel like we have to move all the time, and I'm a big mover, but I'm also learning the power of stillness. There's nothing wrong with taking a second to just sit down and think and reflect. Do I like what I'm doing right now? Am I enjoying it? Do I see a path forward? What is most important to me? I've always said this before, that my biggest good thing I'm grateful for with Founders Connect is that I did not let the pressures of creating content fool me. At the beginning, I was like, peace, what is your goal here? And it wasn't metrics, it wasn't subscribers, it wasn't followers. I was like, if every other week somebody texts me and said, that video made an impact, I'm good. So every time somebody said, that video made an impact, I will make another one because that was my metric. And that impact metric kept me going. For somebody else, metrics and money might have been their impact, and they have to say, okay, this is not working, let me do something else. So what is your own key metric for where you are right now? And how do you use that to either change course or continue on course, right? And find what you actually want to do. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, not much else to say, but I'll use an example of our newsletter. Part of our newsletter is behind a paywall. And it was a very difficult decision to make because the newsletter was gathering so much momentum when I went full-time. But then I asked myself, in 5 years, are you going to be happier or are you going to be more satisfied from a business perspective if everything that you've been doing, you continue to give it away for free, or if you keep a part of it behind a paywall so that the people who can pay for it will pay for it, but the bulk of it, you can still use it in the future for even something bigger. And so we decided we were going to, make the move, put some of our newsletter behind a paywall. But now what we've done is, for instance, during our last team meeting, we decided, okay, we've done this thing for a few months. How do we add more value for our subscribers? So now we are rethinking our product, the subscription product strategy. But we will never get to this point if we didn't start in the first place, right? And the assumption was always that Nigerians don't pay for content. But if I tell you that 48% of our paid subscribers are in Nigeria, do you understand? So, and it's crazy, not Nigerians living abroad though, Nigerians living in Nigeria. Do you understand? People who are willing to give up $80 a year, $10 a month to pay for our newsletter. And for me, that means a lot. But if we never decided to take that step in the first place, we would never be here when we're not thinking, okay, maybe this, we need to add more benefits, we need to do this, we need to do that. But again, it starts from taking that initial first step. I hope that is useful for you.
Fantastic.
All right.
Can we take one more question?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adeshino. I worked in fintech all my life. My question is around leadership, right? You have a lot to say. I love what you've said so far, but there's something you've not said. How do you manage the mental clog, the mental stress, when everyone is relying on you and you are relying on God for power? So what do you do?
Relying on God is the answer.
Exactly. So how do you handle it when the pressure is, we are about to meet up with this task and everyone is looking up to you, but truly as a founder, as a leader, you genuinely do not have a solution at that point. What do you do?
Me, I will tell you, I'm very fortunate that I have good people around me. I will tell you now, I will have run mad a long time ago. I will not. I woke up yesterday morning. I told my wife, I'm sorry, but I'll be very honest with you guys. I don't feel like praying today because I'm very angry. And I told her straight up, I'm very angry. I cannot pray. I cannot do devotion. I'm very angry at God. And that's what I told her yesterday. And she comforted me. I went about the day. Eventually, the day got better, but that's the life. Today, I woke up very happy because eventually the problem that I had yesterday, at the end of the day, it was solved. I woke up this morning, did devotion, I was happy. But that's life. And I know that God will not be angry with me that I was angry with him because I'm sure he saw it coming. But that's the life. So there is no hack. Just have good people around you. Sometimes I'm calling my friends and I'm ranting to them. Sometimes, and I'll tell you this, sometimes I'll call my friend and I'm just crying on the phone. Did I make a mistake? And then the guy will just, he will just encourage me and tell me his own story. Maybe you are crying that you can't find 2 million somewhere. Your guy will just tell you, I'm looking for 60 million for a project. Okay. You compose now. You compose. Do you understand? So again, it's about the kind of people that you have around you. And please feel free to break down when you can, as long as you...
That one, feel free to break down when you can. I think that's the burden of leadership. That there will be times where even you feel like you don't have strength, but that everybody's looking up to you. I completely agree with David. Finding the right people, I'm so grateful for the team that I have at Founders Connect because there were times in the last 2 months that I couldn't move. But Joyce would do something, Teresa would do something, Zega would do something. I'm like, thank you. So finding the right people who believe your vision, but who are also very competent and have ownership and excellent mentality that can also make decisions that you trust is great. I think the other one is, like David said, feel free to break down, but also have sort of the right accountability partners or mentors. There are times when I actually go and seek advice because nobody at my team knows as well because I'm their leader, right? So I will go and meet somebody else. It could be a peer, it could be a mentor and said, I'm currently blocked. Let's talk through it. And that helps. So having a support system that can feed into you is very important as well when you don't have anything. God as well is very important. And then sometimes, at least for me, I'm just still. If I'm blocked, I would take some time on that decision and just like, everybody, this is where we are right now. Let's do what we can and what we know and what is within our control. And give me some time to go feed myself, to go learn, to go do research. And eventually, you should be able to come forward and, hopefully find a decision. But that's the burden of leadership. You have to figure out how to lead yourself and get what you need in the moment so you can also lead other people.
Yeah. And sometimes you just watch Netflix. I will not lie to you. Sometimes you just
They will soon
open
drive
Netflix.
us out of the stage. So let's walk away as we go.
Just
Thank you
open
so much,
Netflix and
everybody.
watch.
A round of applause for them, ladies and gentlemen.